Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel SF with AK. This is Aman Kumar and I am a 22 times certified Salesforce architect. We are in the final episode of our Headless Salesforce series. 7 episodes ago, I said Salesforce doesn't need a user interface to be useful. Then I proved it in different ways. A script, an API call, a terminal, a Slack channel, customer portal, every single one of those borrowed somebody else's front door. Today, we build our own. That will be the page your team will open. They ask Salesforce questions in plain English and they get answers from their records with their permissions. No Slack, no Claude accounts, and not one line of integration code. Here's the part I actually want you to stay for, the security model. Because if you take one thing from this episode, it's not the chat window, it's the security model. 3 things on this slide, and they are the 3 things that make it work. Salesforce hosted MCP, custom Apex tool, and per user authentication. Hold on to the third one. It's the whole episode wearing a small hat. Okay, what we are building today. On the left screen, there's a console. One page, one chat box. Priya in support, she asks, which of my open cases have been waiting for more than 3 days? And the answer comes back with the case number, the account name, and the age. Then she says, escalate the ACME1. The customer's called twice and it escalates properly with priority, routing, and audit entry. On the right hand side, the screen that no one puts in the demo, and it's the one your architect care about. Every tool the model is allowed to touch as a switch. Off doesn't mean it gets refused. Off means the model never know it exists. The 4 things you would expect in a build like this that aren't here. No Slack, because not every team lives there. No cloud accounts for your users. They never leave your app. They never see a bill. If you need, you can have different accounts and control different tokens of Claude that's available in Claude Business Subscription. But for the demo, I'm just using one account for all the users. No integration code, no SQL, IROT, no field mapping, no endpoints, and no integration user. The last one is the whole security story. Every build like this that I have seen go wrong went wrong. One service account, one token, everybody sharing it. We are not doing that. Everybody is themselves. This episode's angle on the headless. Quick honesty about where this sits in the series. Episode 5, I borrowed Claude Code. Episode 6, I borrowed Slack. Both of those work, both of those sit, but in both of them, the front door belonged to somebody else. Somebody else's authentication, somebody else's UI, somebody else's terms. Today, we stop borrowing. 3 things fall out of that. And they are the 3 columns here. Your app, your rules. There is no third party in the loop that your security team has to review. Your UI, your guardrails, your brand on it. No integration code. And this is the bit that's genuinely new. The tools are already described. Salesforce describes them. So the next business question your team asks costs you a sentence, not an endpoint. Everyone is themselves. Per user authentication, which means sharing rules, field level security, object permissions, apply to every single tool code. Not because I wrote code to check them, but because the platform does that. 4 boxes left to right, and the thing I want you tracking is the token. The browser, React and Vite, app chat pane, and that toggle panel. It holds no key, no tokens. It only ever talks to /API on its own origin. If somebody opens DevTools in this app, there's nothing in there worth stealing. Box 2, your server. One node process, it holds the session, it does the authentication. That is the episode 3 authorization code plus Pixie flow. Finally, running in something real, and it holds the allow list. That's it. It's smaller than you think. Box 3, Claude. The message API, it picks the tool, it picks the argument, it talks to the MCP server, using the token you hand it. Your cost dial, your model, and the max token lives right there. Box 4, Salesforce hosted MCP. Salesforce runs this, not me, per user authentication, so it runs as the human, field level security, and sharing rules apply. You get the standard server and you get your own as well. One token, it belongs to the person using the app. Everything downstream inherits it. MCP runs on external client app, not a connected app. Okay. Right before we build anything, 30 seconds on what MCP actually is. In words that mean something to a person. MCP is a description format and a protocol. That's it. It's how a server says, here are the things I can do, here is what each one is called, here are the arguments it takes, and here's what it means. Think of it as WSDL for AI, or think of it as the tooling API describing itself. The reason it matters, and this is the actual unlock, is that the model reads the description at runtime. I don't write a router. I don't write if the user says, case, call this. I hand Claude the list and Claude picks. What Salesforce gives you, Salesforce hosted MCP servers for your org. In setup under API catalog, there's nothing to install and nothing to run. It's a URL that speaks the protocol and it's already there. Two families, the standard servers, Salesforce writes them. The subject family is the one you will start with, and it's split by blast radius, which I love. Platform sobject-reads, you can query, search, describe schema, traverse relationship. It cannot change anything. Platform sobject mutation, adds, create, and update. No delete. Sobject deletes, only delete. Sobject all, the complete load. There are more beyond S-objects, flows, Data 360, WNext, Prompt Builder. Check the Salesforce tab in your own org because the list grows every release. And the custom servers, which you can compose, point and click, your Apex, your flows, your Apex REST as tools. That is step 4, and we will spend some real time there. 3 things a person should ask. Question 1, does it respect my security model? And the answer is yes. Every tool call runs as the authenticated user. Field level security, object permissions, sharing rules, governor limits. If a user can't see the record, the tool can't. That is not something I implemented, it's the platform. Question 2, how does the model authenticate? The answer is auth 2.0 per user, authorization code with the PKCE through an external client app with the MCP API as the scope. Same flow we already know, and we have built this in the previous episodes. Question 3, what stops it from doing something stupid? Well, 3 separate layers, and they are genuinely separate. The client decides who connects and which tools get offered. The server decides which tools exist at all. The platform enforces the permissions at runtime. Never patch one layer's gap in another one. We are going to demonstrate the bottom 2 layers for failing on purpose later in the episode. Let me just show you the thing working. No explanation, no code. I'll take it apart straight after the demo. Okay, this is my server running. It does not know anything. Notice the panel is empty here. That is deliberate. This app has no idea what my org can do, and it's not going to guess. Let's connect Salesforce. Click on Connect Salesforce. Because I'm logged in a separate tab, it will automatically authenticate me and get me into the org. Now, because I'm logged in as the admin user, I can see all the 80 tools available to me and I can turn those on. Now, let's see how it will look like for a standard user. Now, as you can see, this is a different user, Amit Yadav, and for this user, only 18 tools are available. So for me, it was 80 tools, but for Amit, it's only 18. Now, let's first disable all the tools. So as you can see, it does not have access to any tool now. Now let's ask it some questions. Let's say, get my open case. I only have one case. So let's see if it gets that or not. So it says, I'm unable to retrieve your open cases right now. tool access is currently off, so I can't query Salesforce data. Because we turned off all the tools, it cannot access anything. Now let's enable the tools. And if I enable the custom MCP server, in that you will find SQL query platform as sobject-reads. That means it can query the records. Now let's ask the same question again. Now it fetched my case, and as you can see, it gave me all the information that I need to see about that case. If needed, I can ask for more information. But for now, let's try to delete this case. So let's take the case number and let's say delete this case. So it says I don't have a tool available to delete Salesforce records. Deletion is not supported by any of the tools I have access to. That means it does not have the tool to delete. So for that, we'll go to sobject-all and give it access to delete the records. So in this, you will see we have delete record as object. That means it now have permission to delete the keys. Now let's try again and see if the user can delete the keys. Well, before I proceed, it wants to confirm. Because it's a destructive change, we have a flag that it needs to ask. So let's type in yes. And it says insufficient access write on the object ID, insufficient access or read only. Because the user does not have access to delete the records. That's why it cannot delete, even though the MCP has the tool to delete records. But the user does not have permission to delete, so it cannot delete the record. Now let's try deleting the same case from the admin user. So I'm in the admin. So let's turn on the sobject-all, and we have delete here. Now let's type in the case number and let's delete this case. Are you sure you want to delete the case? So we need to again say yes. So let's type in yes. And this time it's deleting the case. Delete as object record was the tool it called, and case number has been deleted and moved to recycle bin. It can be recovered from there within 15 days if needed. So let's see in org if it was deleted or not. Let's go to Salesforce, go to recycle bin. And as you can see, I deleted this case today only. So that is how it works. It respects the permissions as well. Well, so let's see how we can build this in steps. Step 1 is to set up screens and no code at all. We need to activate the server. We go in, setup, quick find, type in MCP. We got the all servers. We click on any particular one. We click on the tools, check the tools, and then click on activate. I'll show it in the org as well, but let's see for the slide first. Then the second part, the external client app. For that, we'll go to setup, go to external client app. We will create a new one there, but for the demo, I already have one app. I will use that app's client ID and client secret. So now let's go and in the org and see both the steps. Okay, let's go to setup. In the quick find, type in MCP. Under API catalog, you will see MCP servers. Let's click on that. And in here, you will be able to see Salesforce servers and external servers. We will use Salesforce servers only. And you can find all the Salesforce hosted servers here. For our demo, we were using sobject-all and reads and the custom one that I built. You will see that in a bit. Okay. If you want to activate any server, you just click on that server. Let's say sobject mutations. Click on that. It will open and we will be able to see all the tools it provides. So we'll first go to tools and check what tools it has. It has get related records, which retrieve child records related to a parent record by traversing the relationship. Use this instead of a separate SQL query when you already have a record ID. So you have the complete description that the AI will use to choose the right tool. Similarly, we have get recently viewed records. Then we have SQL. Then we have SOSL. Then we have get current user info. Then we have get object schema. Then we have create record. Then we have update record and update related record. So you see, we do not have any delete in here because it was as object mutation. And as we discussed, it only allows you to read, create and update the record, not delete the record. Once you have the tools that you need, just click on activate, and it will activate the server. To use the server, you will need this URL. It's different for sandbox and production. So you just need to copy the URL and use it in the app. Now, the second step, let's go to external client app. So type in external, and we'll go to external client app manager. Click on this. In this, I have already built an app, so let's just build it for you guys. So if you don't have any idea about how to build the app, you will be able to see that from this episode only. Type in a name, give it an email. In the API enable, we'll enable the auth. For the callback URL, you need to give your URL that you need to redirect, and it needs to be exec. So just for the demo, I'll use this URL because we are not going to use this app. In the scopes, we will just need the MCP scope. Let's search for that, MCP, and we will need the refresh token. Let's find the refresh token one, this one. We only need these two scopes. Now scroll down, and we don't need the web server flow. We don't need this one. We need the PKCE, and we need issue JSON token based on the access for named users. And we can create the app from here. Now, in the policies, we might need to make some changes. So let's go to auth policies. We can change this to admin approved users are pre-authorized so that they don't have to authorize themselves. And by that, you will need to pass the profile or the permission sets for the users who will be able to access this app. So I just created a new permission set and I gave access to the app to those users. Similarly, you can restrict the app access based on the profile or permission sets. Now click on save and then go to settings. And in auth settings, you will be able to find the consumer key and secret for the app that you will need to use. But before you can actually use the app, you need to wait at least 10 minutes so that it can properly activate the app. Okay, the step 2 is connect and ask the first question. This is the entire integration. It's a fetch request. Our Anthropic key, server side only. The browser never sees this, and it never sees the Salesforce token either. An Anthropic beta header because the MCP connector is still in beta. The date in it, I'll come back to that in the next step. And there's the part that matters, MCP servers. The URL that I copied out of the setup, a name and authorization token. The token will be user-based. That is not an integration user token. It's a token that we got based on the user login. And how did we get the token? We discussed that in episode 3, authorization code plus the PKCE flow. We connect, go to Salesforce login, consent screen, back to my callback. My server exchanged the code for a token in the session. Server side, the browser gets a cookie and nothing else. Your user sees a Salesforce login page exactly once. Now the response, this trips people up. So 3 block types you care about. Text, what Claude actually says. MCP tool uses, which tool it picked and what argument it passed. MCP tool result, what Salesforce sent back. Filter by type, never by array index. The order changes, the count changes, and if indexing to positions, we will ship something that will break any day. Now let's see what we need to pass to get the complete request. Let's go to VS Code. Okay, this is just an env example that will hold your API keys and everything. You need to store Anthropic API key, which you will get from the console of the Claude. Then the model that you want to use, then the token that you need to allow per message. And there's a upper limit as well that you can send for each different type of model. Then MCP beta version, then the actual URL of the MCP server. So you can see it's MCP server, custom one. Then I'm using multiple servers, so I just used a comma separator and provided a new one. Then the Salesforce client ID and client secret, the login URL, Salesforce redirect URI, where the code will come back, and the port we are using for the server to run. And I'm using a session secret. It binds the request to that secret. Now, if I go to terminal, we can type npm run dev, and that will initialize our server. And as you can see, we have a link. We checked for Anthropic API key. It checked for MCP servers. It checked for client ID. it checked for client secret, which model we have, the beta, callback, everything that needs to check. It checked everything and then it started the server. Let's click on it. It will open the server or the app here. We can connect to Salesforce and it will take us to the login page. So this is the login page that user will see only once. Once they sign in, they will be given access to the app and the tools that we authorize them to have. Well, this is step 3. And this is where the architects lean in. The model can pick tools dynamically. That is the magic. And that does not mean it should get the whole buffet. The allow list is a real thing. 2 lines that do the work. The browser sends what the user ticked. My server decides what they were allowed to tick, intersect the 2, and the result goes into the request as the allowed tool list. In the current beta shape, it's MCP toolset entry, and the important bit is right here. 4 annotations worth knowing because they change how a client behaves. A read-only hint, safe to run without asking. Destructive hint, confirm first, just like we did when we were deleting a report. It asked us if we want to delete or not. Idempotent hint, safe to retry. Open world hint, this one reaches outside the org in your browser. Let's see the tools now. In config, we have tools. So in this, I've defined different groups, read, write, and actions. And I'm deciding dynamically which tool is a read tool, which tool is a write tool, and which is an action tool. And based on that, we will group these and allow the permissions to users. And that I'm doing using the policy. In my policy, I have users. For each user, I'm allowing them some tool access. Let's say for my user, I'm allowing everything. For Amit's user, I'm just allowing him custom MCP server and as object all. But on the tool side, I'm allowing all tools of these 2 servers. For default, it's nothing. The allow is blank. That means they can't access anything. This way, you can define it for user-based or you can define it for everyone. I have different examples. If you want to allow everything, then just allow star and it will allow all the activated server on your org. One server only, that means you just pass in one server name and that's it. It will only allow that user, that server and its tool, nothing else. But if in one server, you just want to allow a group of permissions or group of tools, then you just pass group read. That means it will only allow the read tools from this server. Even if this server has write tools, it will not allow those. Then if you want to allow 2 servers, you will pass 2 names and in the tools, you can pass star. That means all tools from these 2 servers will be allowed. Then if you want to allow multiple servers, but they all have the names starting from sales. That means sales with a star will allow all the servers starting from sales. If you keep it blank, then no server access at all. Then if you reach every server, but only reads, that means you're allowing access to all the servers, but you are restricting it to only read. Then if you want to just pass in the server, you can just pass server and custom MCP server or whatever the server name. If you want to pass it as a string, you can do that. Then if you want to pass multiple servers, you can pass it like this as well. Then if you want to pass a tool only, then you just type in the tool name. It will only pass that tool, nothing else. If you want to allow server and that server's tool only, then you can write like this. If you want to allow all the servers or all the tools starting from a particular letter, then you can pass like this. So these are different methods that you can use to restrict the users to different servers or different tools. That way you will have more restrictive access what users can do on your app. Your own tool, that means you can now create your own MCP server using flows, using Apex classes, REST APIs, and everything. Let's see one live how you can build it. Let's open Web Console, go to setup icon, click on Web Console. It will open in a new window. Let's go there, let it load. Let's find our class. So there's nothing. That means we need to find the class or retrieve the class. Salesforce org. Let's go to Apex classes. Now find the class, escalate key section. Let's retrieve this and we have the class. Now this class needs to be global so that it can be used in MCP. With sharing is the keyword that I'm using for security that you should always use. Then we have global class request variables, which are invocable variable, and the description is the part that needs to be there for AI to read. Description is the only thing that will tell your AI what you need to do or what this variable needs. So for the case ID, we are passing the ID of the case to escalate. For the region, we are passing why this case is being escalated, recorded on audit entry. That means it will use this region to record in the audit entry. In the result variable, we are passing the status, we are passing label routed to, then we are passing the case number and the message description. This is our invocable method. We are passing the label, we are passing a description that escalate one case, raise priority, applies routing rules, logs an entry, use only when a customer has changed more than once or when a case has breached its expected response time. But do not use for the ordinary priority changes. This tells the AI when to use this particular tool because it will see all the tools and it needs to choose which tool to use. At that time, it will read the description and decide which tool to use. In the queries, I'm using with user mode. That means it will only allow the user to access the cases or the reports that they are allowed to see. And in the DML, we are using update as user so that the user only allowed to edit should be able to update this case. That is how you enforce the permissions. We're not checking anything. The platform checks automatically. Now let's go back to Salesforce and type in MCP and click on MCP server. Now from here, we can add the MCP server. Now I'll click create Salesforce MCP server. Now we'll give it a name. Let's say escalate and case. We'll give it a description. Escalate cases when customer has contacted more than once. These are required that you need to put for the AI to read. Now let's click on create. Now we have the server, but right now, as you can see, it does not have any tools. Now we need to provide it tools. For the tools, we'll go to tools tab. Now we can provide two types of tool. One from Salesforce and another from the attacks or flows. Now first, let's add from server. That means all the tools that Sales will provide automatically, we can add those. Content read only, content write, data cloud, flow MCP, metadata, Salesforce API, as object all, and we can choose different tools from a server as well. As object all has all the servers or all the tools, but we can only choose a few ones that we need. So let's say we just want to get a record. We just click on add and we just want the SQL and we can click on done. That way we added two tools from the S-object server. Now we can add our custom ones as well. We'll click add tools and here we can check Apex section and we have escalate case. Now we click on add tool and it will be added to the server. Now our server has three tools. Now we can activate the server and we can use this URL to call this MCP server. So that is how I was using custom MCP server that we just saw. Let's move to the next one. Okay, so you have already seen the refusals, how it works, how it does not allow the access of the MCP server if the user does not have access to MCP, and if the user has access to MCP and does not have the permission, it will still refuse the user to do that action. Let's move on to the next one, how you scale it. One person works. Here's what changes at 50, plus the licensing question. You'll get in your first meeting about this. One app, many people. One external client app, everyone authenticates through that app as themselves. You don't make one per user. Restrict who can connect on the ECA, auth policies, set permitted users to admin approved and require a permission set because we built an app and everyone in the org can use it. Are the two separate decisions. Revocation is per person. Deactivate the user, the app stops working for them and only them. Nobody else notices. Try doing any of these three with a shared integration user. Apply per persona. One custom server per team. Supports get reads plus escalate. Sales get reads plus convert. Different URLs, one ECA, no extra auths, no extra auth apps, no extra augs. And again, curate, don't dump. The licensing question, the question you will get in the first meeting, they need Salesforce identities. There's no way around that, and you don't want one. This runs as a user, no sharing model, no audit trail. The thing that makes this safe is the thing that requires the license. For staff who only touch custom objects and a subset of standard ones, look at the platform license, considerably much cheaper. And for the consumption side, say Agentforce Flex Credit or Salesforce own answer to conversation-based usage. Worth understanding before you are asked. Never route several humans through one Salesforce login. You lose the sharing model, you lose the audit trail. Every action in that org now says the same name. You are multiplexing name users, which is a license compliance conversation you do not want. Everything I just showed you runs, but I built it only for a demo, and there are shortcuts in it. It's on the local host. On one node process, deploy it, HTTPS fallback, and update the ECA to match. Anthropic's connector is holding the token. For most orgs, that is fine. It is the same trust boundary as any AI vendor. But if your answer is that token cannot leave your infrastructure, then you become the MCP client yourself. It's more work, but that's fine. The session is in server memory. A map in a node process, which means one instance, scale it, and the people randomly log out. And there's no streaming. I left it out for clarity. Put it back. A 6-second answer with no feedback feels broken, and people stop using the thing that feels broken. What a real deployment adds on top of that 5 things: permission set on the ECA, so not everyone can connect. Refresh token capped at 30 days with rotation. The default validity is indefinite, and you should change that today regardless of this project. Single logout, so clean the Salesforce session, kills the app session. Log all 4 things together: the prompt, the enabled tools, the tool calls, and the user. Event monitoring sees the Salesforce half, only your app can see the other half. And an auditor will want both in one line. And cap max token rate limit per user. Your cost ceiling is either a number you choose or a number you discover. One directly from Salesforce, which I'll pass on because it's good advice. Don't build a custom proxy around the REST APIs. Instead of using the hosted server, you bypass the platform's security controls and you lose request level telemetry, which is a polite way of saying the hard part is already built, don't rebuild it first. Last thing before we wrap, the repo is in the description and I want you to be able to change it without reading all of it. There are basically 4 files you will ever touch. Let me show you one by one. unv.local, which holds your key, your model, which you want to use, maximum token that are allowed, then MCP beta, the date, then we have SF MCP servers, which servers are allowed to be used, then we have SF client ID and client secret, then we have SF login URL, redirect URL, and the port that we use, and one session secret that I generated using this command. Do not try to use these keys or secrets. I will disable all of these after the recording, so you will not be able to use any of these. .env.local file is a read once at boot, so you need to restart your server after you edit it. The next one is the policy.json file, which we discussed, holds all the policies or how the users will have access to each server and its tool. And this one is a reread per request in dev. So edit it, no restart is needed. You will just use the server and it works. The next one is the tools. This we also see has the placeholders for read, write, and actions, and we update these dynamically. Leave it empty and everything still works. Tools get labeled and grouped from them what the org sends. If you add a tool here which is not in the org, the panel in the app will show you that this is a tool that you have mentioned, but the org does not support that. And the fourth, the Apex class. You can customize the class as per your needs. You just need to mention that it needs to be global and it needs to have a description so AI can call it properly with each variable and the method. Invocable method can also be used in flows, but for AI, we need the description as well. It accepts a list of requests. It responds a list of result, which is also a required thing. Most of the time, we will just pass one variable, but your class should be bulkified and it should accept a list and properly execute it. Quick round, the things that you would otherwise find the hard way. If you see some errors, I'll give you the answers. So if it says redirect URI mismatch, that means your callback URL and the ECA do not match. Byte for byte, check the trailing slashes, check HTTP versus HTTPS. Even a space can cause an issue. If it says invalid client ID, the ECA isn't operational yet. That means you need to wait for at least 10 minutes before you can use the app. My Apex tool isn't in the list. That means it's public and not global. 90% of the time, that is the issue. My tools used to work and now it fails. That means you changed the signature and did not resync the tool configuration in setup. The panel is empty after connecting. That means the user can't reach the server or nothing is activated for them. Check the tools tab and check their permission set. Nothing ever refuses. That means you are signed in as an admin. Sandbox versus production, different login host, and different MCP server URLs. Copied from the org you are actually pointing at. It can be a sandbox, it can be a production, but directly copy it from the org itself. Can I use this with something other than Claude? Yes. The Salesforce side is plain MCP. Any MCP capable client connects logs, have walkthroughs for several. The Anthropic specific part of this build is about 15 lines. Can I test the MCP server without building an app? Yes. You should be able to point Postman or MCP inspector at it first. If it doesn't work there, it's not your app. Does this work with Agentforce? Different tool for a different job. Agentforce is the agent Salesforce runs in Salesforce. This is your own front door with your own client, same MCP servers. What about cost? Two levers, max token per turn, and the size of your tool list. Because every tool description ships with every request. The curated servers are cost decision as much as a security one. And one from the deck, the code samples on the slide shows the older beta header and a Sonnet model. You can use newer versions as well. Okay, 7 episodes, 1 mental model. This is the payoff for anyone who watched all 7. 7 episodes, same idea, 7 different heads on it. Episode 1, Salesforce answering without anyone opening it. Episode 2, code holds the token, not a browser. Episode 3, auth flows and how picking the wrong one leaks your secret. Episode 4, customer identity, so customers never see a Salesforce login. Episode 5, Salesforce in your terminal using Claude and MCP. Episode 6, Salesforce, where your team directly works like Slack. And 7, your own client, stop borrowing someone else's front door, build your own. One backend, no UI ever. Well, that is the series. Thank you for spending 7 episodes on this with me. Now go and build the front door your team actually wants to open. If the series was useful, hit the like button. That is the click that helps it find the next person who's about to build an integration user. Subscribe the channel so you don't miss the new episodes. And show me what you built in comments, your repo, or just a screenshot of your tool panel. I want to see it, what tools you decided to trust. Repo for this one is in description, the Apex class, the external client app, settings, all of it. Deploy once and your org matches mine. See you in the next one. Thank you.